So what you're witnessing right now is the collapse of the Donald Trump administration, as basically it's a total mess and everyone's freaking out. So let me show you guys what's going on for reals. Trump has complained about Pam Bondi repeatedly to aides. This is just coming from the Wall Street Journal today. I didn't know he didn't like Pam Bondi that much. I thought they were, tight, but I guess not anymore. Basically, for reals, basically what it is that Trump wants to imprison or jail all his political opponents. Trump wants to be a dictator, and he gets upset if he can't imprison or jail all the people that he wants to today. Basically, I think what it is like he watches TV, he sees, oh, well, look at ICE can just run around and arrest anyone that they want, so why can't I, right? And then if he can't deliver to arrest the people that he wants, then he'll call you weak and ineffective. Then some people do push back, right? So I told you guys this before in the last video. Bessent told Trump that the investigation of Fed chair creates a, quote, mess. So remember, they launched a criminal probe on Trump. You can watch my last video on that. But basically, not everyone necessarily wants to arrest everyone, right? So Bessent isn't necessarily on board with that. And then you have staffers freaking out about this whole thing, right? Quote, freak out about the bond market. White House reels from Powell probe. So again, you have multiple things going on. Trump wants Bondi to go arrest everyone, basically go charge everyone, effectively what it is. And it's like, yes, these people are corrupt, but you can't just, show up at everyone's door and just imprison everyone. We don't have prisons that big, and our system doesn't work that way. And then when you go through this stuff, you're like, man, these people are just completely whacked out. So it says here, White House in damage control mode, okay? Officials are scrambling to reassure markets and create distance from an episode that aides say was never meant to unfold. That's coming from 5 people familiar with what's going on in the administration, from 5 different sources, not just one, 5. And then when you read more of the stuff, and remember, these are all connected. All this stuff is connected. So you got basically people calling up on the phone of like, why are you attacking Powell? What are you guys doing over there? We're going to dump everything, right? So you got the market issues with that. And then you got the other more political stuff or the Epstein stuff or whatever. Essentially what it is, Trump sees stuff on TV. He's like, why are people saying bad things about me? Go arrest them, right? So this is what it says. President Trump has complained to aides repeatedly in recent weeks about Attorney General Pam Bondi, describing her as weak and ineffective enforcer of his agenda, right? So remember, his agenda is like, I hate everyone, go arrest people, and etc., or get rid of the Epstein stuff. I'm tired of hearing about it on the news. Or Trump gets really, really mad when we talk about his health. It's crazy. Like just this last couple of weeks, I've noticed it's really in a downward spiral more than normal. But I guess we're on the same sort of angle of spiral, if you want to call it, or trajectory. It's definitely a crash and burn scenario, though. Privately, some White House officials see the episode as radioactive. That's referring to the criminal probe on Jerome Powell, with aides and allies eager to distance themselves from the probe. They don't want to be connected to this thing, right? They believe could do more damage to the White House than to Powell. I mean, I guess at this case, in this stage, like Trump's like, if I'm going to go down, I'm taking everyone I can with me. I'm laughing because, like, what do you think is going to happen with this stuff? I mean, the problem is that there's a leadership vacuum, basically. Trump's a baby. He just wants to put money in his pocket and for his family. Trump wants his photo ops. Like he's greedy. And then you surround yourself with a bunch of other greedy individuals, and then they're all fighting just to, get the limelight, fighting for policies for themselves, not for the American people. And they don't even really have a plan other than, how can I get as much money in my pocket before the cops show up? That's basically what it is. And the cops are coming midterms. They know their time is short here. And then it says, one of the 5 people familiar with said some inside and close to the White House are, quote, freaked out that further threat to Fed chief job security could spook the bond market. I'm pretty sure they're getting a lot of phone calls. I would be 100% sure on that, right? Because if you hear on the news of like, yo, the White House, wants to prosecute criminal probe of Jerome Powell, you're like, what the heck are you doing, And then you have more to where every day it's like Epstein stuff, and that could be another issue. It's hard to say what's going on with that, other than there's probably a lot of people involved that don't want their names released. I'll put it that way. And Trump just wants all that stuff to go away. So, there's multiple things you talk about, the money stuff, the Epstein stuff, if you like. But ultimately, though, it's just chaos over there. And you see it here. So, for example, it says, chief among his grievances, that would be Trump, and what he sees as Bondi's failure to quickly, effectively prosecute the investigators. So, Trump wants to throw the cops in prison, basically, who had pursued him for years. So he's talking about Comey or Letitia James. We're talking about Fed Cook or Fed Powell, because Powell will call out the Trump administration lies, that kind of stuff. Recently, because I think one of the biggest ones is when Powell's like, yo, according to, our estimates, our numbers, the government numbers on jobs are like way off. It's like, look at jobs and whatever numbers they give you, discount 60,000 jobs a month. And there's multiple things, or Powell come out and say, yo, the tariffs are making stuff cost more for you. And just Trump gets upset. He gets upset at everything. And it does mention the Epstein stuff, right? So there's a lot of like headaches going on over there for them. And then this is where it gets really interesting. He also heard from conservative activists and influencers criticizing Bondi and collected similar social media posts and has asked other aides about the officials said. So if you understand what's going on, Trump has a, very, very short attention span. He can't read. Need things to be really simple for him and like really small words. Basically, that's why he talks the way that he does. And he'll look at whatever podcast or whatever, Twitterverse or whatever, or Fox News. And then he'll print out stuff and have his human printer do that, which that's one of the assistants that may or may not be having an affair. I talked about this in the last video. But then he'll like, oh, I saw this meme that, Elon Musk put out there. Is this true? And then like, this is really the world that we live in. So instead of relying on like a comprehensive, expert or intelligence opinion or whatever, right? Or report, however you want to call it, he's just looking at social media like, hey, I saw this meme. Tell me what's going on. And so then if you understand that that's how you get Trump to do certain kind of things, then you're out buying influencers to influence him. The same way that there's a lineup for people to buy influence on Fox News because they know he watches that stuff. And so basically you have to figure out who is Trump listening to. And then you get close to his assistants, the aides are like, okay, so, what was Trump looking at on his phone? What was Trump watching on TV? And then you start to figure out how can you put messages into the program that he watches. That's what we're talking about. It's pretty crazy when you go through this stuff. This is just today. Right-wing influencers have flooded Minneapolis. And so basically, Trump watches stuff and it's like, oh, well, if ICE can go arrest everyone and cause chaos, why can't I do that too? I mean, it's like, the whole thing is crazy. I don't know how to say it. Like I went through the details of stuff and it's like all this money's flying around and you have all these greedy people and like these people are all liars too. Like for example, this is Nick Sorter. It says Nick Sorter hits a woman. Basically, if you don't know Nick Sorter, I've showed him a few times on the channel. He's the kind of dude, this is for reals. He'll make videos like on New Year's Eve. No, it'll be Christmas Eve, not New Year's Eve. One of the two. I can't remember which one it was. He's always whacked out. But we'll say one of the holiday Eves because we just talked about it in a video. Outside of a daycare and like that's what he's spending his time, like alone in his car on a winter night on a holiday eve outside daycares, like filming stuff, asking about kids. It's really weird. And it's actually not that funny. It's actually pretty scary. He fits the kind of profile of that kind of person. And then I guess he goes to protest as Nick Sorter dude and then causes fights. And then the ICE people start shooting tear gas into the crowd. That's seriously this video. If you want to watch it, you can. I wish I were making this stuff up. And so some of these people may or may not be paid to do these kind of things. And then Trump watches said people. So for example, this was back in January. Conservative influencers celebrate at TikTok-sponsored Trump inauguration party. And you can see there, this guy's wearing, I think that's a TikTok logo and an Israel tie. And we'll get into the Israel stuff in a moment here because basically Israel's dumping a bunch of money to right-wing influencers and otherwise. So it is absolutely insane because I just saw this in the Wall Street Journal. It is a pretty big story, basically. And yet, again, you have to connect the dots. So Trump looks at social media. He's a toddler, right? And he just believes whatever memes on there. So like he's like, oh, well, Pam Bondi's not doing a good job because I just saw, Tucker Carlson or I saw whoever he watches. I don't know all the stuff that he watches. But if you can figure it out, because his aides will tell you what he watches, then you buy influence with that, right? So Washington's new lobbyists paid online influencers with few rules. So basically there's not much transparency with this stuff. And there's thousands of dollars being floated around. There's all these like crazy parties. You can see it right there for yourself. And all these people are basically greedy individuals and they're, influence for hire, essentially what it is. And it's thousands of dollars. So some dude, he was like, got paid $300,000 to promote MJ stuff. And then suddenly Trump starts tweeting out about that, right? And then you read about sort of how this is in a really bad state because there's just not much regulation here. And then there's corporate and foreign money coming in. And let me read it. You'll see. Corporate and foreign interests that used to rely primarily on paid lobbyists. Okay, so used to pay, and then lobbyists. I think Holman was a lobbyist at one point, and then Susie Wiles, who's Trump's chief of staff, was a lobbyist, and other people. So Trump has filled his administration with a bunch of lobbyist people. So basically, people paid to push whatever policies on DC, on Capitol Hill. If you understand this game is played, so these corporate and foreign money, right? They used to pay those kind of people who were in Trump administration, but now they pay influencers. So they paid lobbyists to pitch their case to lawmakers. Administration officials are instead pouring money into trying to get their cause promoted by a group of young conservative influencers known to be close to Trump's staff. Okay, and this would be like your Nick Shirleys and whoever, those kind of people. And it's a lot of greedy individuals, is the best way to describe it. A camera-ready pack of Gen Z social media natives, many of whom were too young to vote when Trump announced his first run for office, are reaping the rewards. They don't work for traditional news outlets and are thus unshackled from newsroom ethics rules. So a lot of these people basically just flat out liars. They have no ethics. That's basically what it boils down to. They're greedy. Such as typical ban on accepting gifts worth more than $25. So you're not really supposed to take money, but again, that's it if you work at a major paper or whatever. But this is a different whole other ballgame. They don't have to follow the disclosure laws that apply to big money super PACs or lobbyists, and they have large followings eager to hear pro-Trump views, a goldmine for those looking to sway both Washington and the public. So this is the landscape that we're in. You guys probably know this stuff already. I talk about stuff several times on the channel. People get upset when you talk about these things. I'll just say this: just always be careful out there who you're watching, And I just try my best to give you an honest opinion. But this is just to be frank with you guys, a lot of people that you watch, because I know exactly what you're watching because I see the analytics, and I told you guys about this before. They work in teams, networks, and their scripts. So there's message of the day, and that's often why many of the channels that you watch may have the same things, like say the same things, show you the same stuff, etc. Because that's the message of the day. It's all scam. Now that this happens way more on the right, but don't think it doesn't happen on the left side if you want to talk right left stuff. So very few people that are popular out there are truly independent because they're all pumping up each other as well, right? You say, oh, Chris, I just saw someone go on someone else's channel, Why don't you go on? Because I'm not part of these freaking networks. I'm independent. I give you just my honest opinion. I don't have any scripts. I'm literally just talking to you guys. I go through the news every day and I tell you what I think is important. And right now I think this is important. Why? There's a lot of money being spread around to basically spread messages that don't necessarily have the interest of the public at heart. For example, look at this. Israel made plans over the past year to spend $900,000 on an influencer campaign with the U.S. audience, according to disclosure documents. As Israel fights negative sentiment on the right, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with conservative social media stars on at least 2 visits. Right, and you'll never hear me say, "Oh my God, guys, you got to bow to Bibi, Netanyahu." I never say that. I never ever say that. My opinion, and this is not just Israel, but just I wish the USA would pull back from the Middle East because we're getting stuck in just too many endless wars over there. And I also think we should seek energy independence and move away from oil. I've said that for years. For years I've said these things, right? And it's sad because, true story, when I lived in Florida, actually, I met this whacked out guy, and I never met these kind of people before, but he was talking about how he heard stuff on the radio, how we just got to, support Israel no matter what. And I was like, oh, okay. But there's people out there like that kind of stuff. It's not just Israel. I guess Qatar is spending a bunch of money on this kind of stuff also. I said here, solar, which I thought was kind of an interesting one, and health industries. So all kinds of stuff. And it happens on the right, but also happens on with the left-wing influencers. They got their own little networks over there. Not a part of any of this stuff. I told you guys several times. I'm just telling you because people often ask me about this stuff, and I tell you, but sometimes people don't like to hear the truth. So there's that. So if you want the truth, I tell you. If you don't want it, I can't help you. But I guess they have these parties. This is in Qatar. You can go to like VIP Formula One thing. It's worth a bunch of money. And it's interesting because Laura Loomer even calls this stuff out. So I noticed this, it was 2 days ago remember when Tucker Carlson went to the oil exec thing? She's like, why is Tucker Carlson there? It's pretty interesting. So according to her, so I don't like Laura Loomer, to make clear on that, but she does have insight into these kind of things. They were fighting over who invited Tucker to the thing. It sounds like to me though, JD Vance maybe is tight with Tucker. So I don't know about that one. I don't know other than what she says. Says Tucker had lunch with the VP, not Trump. So I think, though, that certainly JD Vance is going to be in on this kind of like podcasty YouTuber world. There's this All In podcast, if you guys know these ones. Like some of these, like Joe Rogan, these kind of things. Like some of these people have major influence, and their followers are easily deceived, I guess you could say, easily lied to. And a lot of the stuff is like completely unregulated, right? So you don't know what money is being passed around to promote whatever messages. It is a real problem. But this is the game that people are playing now, and I think JD Vance is going to play this game. And then it was saying here, I thought it was really interesting. This is a really interesting article if you guys are interested. It's the Wall Street Journal. Those known to have a good relationship with Trump's assistant, Natalie Harp is her name, Natalie Harp, and other White House officials can command thousands of dollars more per post than others. So just to put whatever stupid thing on Twitter or whatever, it's like a couple $100 up to thousands, depending how big your account is. And it said that the money going to stuff is doubled or tripled, right, during the Trump administration. So a lot of money going into this stuff. This person here, I don't even know who this is. Sinclair, 29. They mentioned her name a lot. I just don't know who this is. Received $67,500 in the past year from the Maha PAC. So it's to promote the RFK stuff. And then there's talking about here that there's not that many laws to regulate this kind of stuff. Is basically what it is. It says federal law mandates lobbyists and PAC registers with the federal government and disclose basic information such as how much money is being spent. But most rules don't cover social media personalities who play a new murky role in politics. So there's a lot of money flying around, guys, and just be careful out there. And this one is funny because I didn't pick up on this one. I knew it was happening. It was the Jarek Isaacman person. So that was one of Trump's friends, Musk's friends, and then he was up for the NASA head, and then got pulled out because I guess Trump didn't like him for whatever reason, and then he went back in because I think he's gonna. I don't know if he's. I can't remember if he was confirmed or not, but basically he had Benny Johnson and Nick Sorter like hang out with him or whatever. And then this is what it says. This is after billionaire Jarek Isaacman saw the administration pull his nomination of being NASA administration. After Trump blew up with Elon Musk, he hosted independent pro-MAGA commenters Benny Johnson, Nick Sorter at his private Montana place, right? So that's how you sort of then try to get favor with Trump again. And then on the Democrat side, or left side if you want to say it, everybody want to say it, I guess there's things called chorus and double tap democracy. I've talked about this stuff before, but people get upset when I mention it. I'll just say if you want to watch my one video on that, you can. It's right there. And some people don't like to hear the truth, but it is what it is. You also got this. It says there's a newly formed firm called the Bridges Partners, registered as a foreign agent for the government of Israel, and disclosed plans of 900,000 influencer program dubbed the Esther Project. So there's a lot of money going on here. And then some of the stuff would be 250,000 a month. So Israel is all in on this kind of stuff. And there's that. There's Netanyahu there. So that's what's going on. I know some of the stuff is uncomfortable to talk about because you guys don't like to hear the truth, but I'm just telling you what it is. And do be careful out there and understand that because of the way that it's both your media, how everything's structured. Because I understand, guys, like if you turn on TV in America, it's just stupid. It just is. It's just two people fighting. It's not a real conversation. And to give you an example, I always ask my wife about this because, she's Korean. And because I show her some of the American stuff sometimes, and the basic way that she just says this is like, if you watch Korean news, like our major networks, like they just want to tell you the news and explain things to you, whereas the American news is mostly just entertainment and just people fighting. That's basically the difference on this stuff, and it becomes really, really obvious. And then when you go over to the social media space, you have a bunch of basically, young kids that are, I'll just be frank with you guys, uneducated and greedy. And they just tell you all sorts of whacked out crap. And then that bleeds into American policy. And so what you see on a daily basis. And it's sad to see the collapse. And, one of the things I always tell you guys is like, if America really wants to improve itself, invest in education. It really, really matters. It really, really matters. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours. And I'll catch you all in the next video.